doing, folks? I'm here with Will Eastman. This quite isn't his garage or his house. He decided to come out and run the gobbler up here at a guy named Luke's house. I gotta learn how to pronounce his last name.
Rakoski?
Is it
I
Rakoski?
think so.
Luke Rakoski. He lives up just off of Central Bridge on 88. He's got a cool little bull ring in his backyard. Anybody's got a go-kart, it's definitely something you'd admire if you were to look at it. So I just tried to catch up with Will a little bit, being he was coming up here. He's on daddy duty today. His girlfriend is off taking some training courses for her job. So he's off playing with his go-kart, and he's got the little guy. Maybe he might be able to show the little guy something. Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing is, how long have you been racing?
Oh, let me think about this.
It's been that long, huh?
Yeah, it's been
Since you were a
35
kid, right?
years.
Really?
40 years. I started when I was 5.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were quite 40 yet or what. I knew you were a little bit younger than me. I just didn't know how much younger.
I think out of all those years, I had 1 year I did not race something, and then 3/4 of the year I got burned. Other than that, I've been full-time every year.
Now, what'd you actually start out in?
Go-karts, actually.
Actually, was
Yep,
it go-karts?
Go-karts in Long
But it wasn't
Island.
around here, though.
No, it was Long Island on the asphalt.
I was gonna say, I kind of know your family a little bit, so I know you're really not a person from around here. You kind of moved up here when you were a kid.
Actually, I graduated high school. My sisters they're 7, 8 years older than I am, and they moved up with family up here. And then I graduated high school and moved up here right after I graduated high school.
So yeah, you cut your teeth down on the tracks in Long Island, then.
Yeah, karting. We had West Hampton back in the day, which is a road course. It was a drag strip road course. They don't have that anymore. We raced at a track called Medford Raceway, which is the 8th mile. Kind of shaped like this, just a little bit bigger scale. Can run wide open, but it's pretty fast. And then they also ran at Riverhead Raceway at the full-size quarter mile. So that's kind of the main tracks that we ran on Long Island.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, I think you were running Blacktop Modified when I actually first met you, and I didn't have you much more than a teenager at the time. It was sitting in Oneonta. I just kind of neat. Building supply stores had a race car sitting out front, and at the time I didn't realize who you were at the time that you actually had family that worked there.
Yeah, we
Little guy jumping.
Good grandpa. Good grandpa.
What do you want, bud? Tell Grandpa, get out of here. I don't want you.
So, yeah, we when I moved up here, we ran the late model. Started out in what they call blunderbuss, which is a full fender, full car, caddies, and Oldsmobiles and stuff like that. And that was kind of like a factory stock in the dirt side. And that was a lot of fun. But I only did that for a year. And then I was going to build. My dad used to build race cars, and he won championships and built championship cars. And we were going to run what they call a charger car, which is kind of like between a street stock and a pro stock, more built than a street stock is, but not quite what a pro stock would be. And we were building it over the winter, and I was younger than what I should have. Technically, it's a NASCAR sanctioned track, so you're supposed to be a certain age. But we kind of lied about that for me to get into the big cars.
A lot of parents, I think, back in the day, they did. Especially looking at you, you come up. I would think if somebody said, yeah, my kid's 14, I'd look at he's not 14. I'm sorry, he's 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I could easily see where you could easily pass for a kid much older than you actually were.
So I actually was going to run this. We were building a car, and it was what they call the charger car. And we got about probably 75% done. It was getting about springtime, and all of a sudden a guy dropped a car off to my dad's shop, and it was a late model, and he's like, oh, we got to move our car, we got to get some work done on this late model. And of course I'm like, young kid, I want to get my stuff done. And sure enough, he ended up buying it from me. He was kind of playing a little joke on it that we actually didn't finish that car, so we skipped that and went right to the full fender late model division. So I ran that. That was 2002, I believe it was. And we won Rookie of the Year, won probably the biggest race of the year, which was the Race Champions qualifier at Oswego. So we won that. Finished, I think, 4th or 5th in points for the year. Then the following years when we got the modified, I ran that one full year before I graduated high school, and then ran some shows, King of the Mountain, all that kind of stuff around here for a few years until it's hard when you run a modified if you don't run every week.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a whole different caliber of racing, and it's any form of asphalt racing, even with the street stock class compared to a dirt street stock. It's a whole different caliber of racing. I mean, there's a lot, to me, there's a lot more time and energy that goes into asphalt than there is into a dirt car.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I don't knock the dirt stuff. I like them both. As a driver, I like them both. I just feel like you could be a little off in a dirt car and still be
the driver
really good.
And track can make up for it.
And I think asphalt, especially, when you're
a 10th off. You're a 10th
off.
You might never find that 10th.
And I don't care how good you are. You're still going up against the best.
Yeah.
I feel like the last race I ever ran was at Mountain Speedway, the King of the Mountain, and as one of my sponsors in Long Island, we had our trailer, our truck and trailer, and the whole 9 yards, and I ended up showing up there, saved money to buy a handful of sets of tires, and I pulled in with a open trailer, and I was in between two stackers for two tour guys. We ended up beating them both. We finished 6th that final race I ran.
Well, that's one of them ones where you can kind of puff your chest on it. See, you guys waste all that money on them stackers, and you should have spent it on your setup.
Yeah, but at that time, after that, they came out with what they call the True Value Modified series.
Yep, I remember that.
Which was going to be really nice because you can only buy, once you start, you can only buy 3 tires per race, and you can only change it if you have a flat, and that's what's huge because, again, we've never been a high dollar operation in anything that I've ever raced before. So to be able to run,
talent though, that helps.
It does.
That
I
helps
always
when you see, you don't seem to be anybody that's wondering what needs to be done. It seems more of, let me figure it out. I'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does make it better for. That's all about what racing is. I don't care what you race. When you win, it's all about the work you put into it, and it's just exciting to win. So, me winning from karts to everything that I ran, every time we do that, it just drives you more and drives you more. And it's been tough getting into the crates because I feel like we're more than capable of winning a championship in the crates, and it just hasn't happened. So it's very frustrating.
That's a hard class.
It's
a hard class because it's so evenly matched. You have very, very little advantages besides the nutball behind the wheel, really, and that's about, to me, so it kind of makes it a hard race to compete in. And from a fan's point, it's just like you guys can't get away from each other.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, the thing is, even like at Thunder Mountain, I consider Thunder Mountain probably the best track in the area. It does get locked down, it gets black slick, but it's the smoothest track. Competition there is crazy. So like in order to really make any kind of moves at Thunder Mountain, you have to be really good. Like if you're the same as somebody else, the way the track might get locked down or be necessarily one group. One of the main guys there, Jordan Millard.
Yeah.
Guys,
but you hold your own pretty well up there.
Oh yeah, no, we do. It's just it gets to the point where I am so grateful for what we have and what I can run for my great uncle. For limited funding that we have. It's just this class this is the only class I feel like if I can have a little bit more, I think we can get that little bit higher.
Obviously, there's a big comparison to your crate modified to the XPP, but I guess if you really essentially want to look at it, these would be like the crate class of the go-kart world.
Yeah, and it's all about
so there's got to be some similarity on the momentum and the consistency around the track and how well you can hit your marks, maintain the constraint, keep the car where you need it, and literally essentially drive the car around the tracks without losing scrubbing speed, whatever driver might want to call it. So I wondered that when last year with the 212, watching you run, I was like, he's got a better. I think Will's got a better idea with these because he runs a crate car. He understands that, there's only so much you're getting out of this. I have to figure out a way to make that up. And I wonder if that's where it is with the XPPs, because if you really watched any of the 212 this year, the top 5 finishers were rounding up to be all crate drivers.
Yeah.
They literally were. I mean, you kind of that there to me from the angle I had, it looked like you got booted from the very low bottom, but from a different angle, you were literally given no room getting into that corner.
I've watched that over and over, and I don't have to say anything, but it wasn't from the bottom. Actually, the bottom stayed right where he was the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was rooting for it. I thought for sure you were going to pull that off. The only thing that I didn't understand, besides the fact that maybe you were a little upset with what why'd you leave the track?
2 laps to go. I didn't know there was 8 cars on the track at that point. I'm there to win. Finishing 5th isn't going to do
when I
nothing
seen
for
you,
me at
I'm
that
like.
point. And normally I don't do that.
Then I thought, because like I said, my angle of it wasn't the great, and I got thinking, well, did you get a flat?
Nope.
Did when you made the contact, did it flat your left
Nope,
rear? Okay, and then you didn't come back. I'm like,
there was nothing wrong.
My first thought was like, he is not happy.
No, and it was frustrating because like, I don't care if it's this or a big crate race or whatever the case is. Like, I'm a competitor. I'm here to win. And
exactly.
What was frustrated is the same person that happened was the same person the year before. Was the same way the driver was the whole entire race to multiple people. And I finally, after the 3rd time coming from the back to the front, get up there to be able to challenge Blaine and just get taken out.
It was looking to be a good race. God, that looked like it was going to be a darn good race between the two of them.
I thought I had enough momentum to clear. I should have been able to clear, and that was coming 2 to go. And I think I was there with him, so I don't know if I could have got him. Who knows? I got by him on that restart, and he did a smart move to get back on.
It didn't take him long to defend it back, saying, oh, listen, you're not going to have it that.
Yep.
And if you watch the video leading up to that, you could tell that he didn't give you that.
Oh, no.
And you just got a very good restart to be like, hey, I'm here.
He protected a little.
We're going to race this out, and I give Blaine a lot of credit. He could have easily dirty drove you really good, and it was like, no, I'm going to run you clean. You ran me clean, and it was like, oh, this is going to be a good. And then, obviously, we all know how the next lap or so transpired onto that one.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely an entertaining race to watch this year, especially being first year on treads.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be more of a caution wreck fest. I think everybody was very cautious with how, because they didn't have that blue security getting into the corner on the restarts.
Yeah, I feel like there was a problem with a lot of that this year. I felt like everybody used their head a little bit better. I mean, I think part of it too was just knowing who you're around, because sometimes it doesn't matter where you are. If the person inside of you just drives it in regardless, you just give them a little more room.
Yeah.
Me, I'm one of those, like that instance with Blaine. Like he tried to protect a little bit. I restarted outside him. I was able to get down. He protected a little bit, killed the momentum, which are huge in these. I got the run back, and sure enough, I probably, looking back, should have went into 1 and 2 and kind of just moved up a groove. But then I knew with these, it slows it down so much. Whoever was 3rd was going to be right there on the inside too.
Well,
so I was thinking I could have done that.
It did too, and that's exactly what did transpire.
And when I didn't do that, I came off the corner, and he didn't really dive bomb me, but he had enough of a run where he was there. But all I did was back off and try to cut back, or get right back behind him.
And it was one of the ones where he had. Like you said, he kind of, but it was one of them ones where you made a decision, like, no, we're going to race this out instead of taking the 2 of us out. And you knew you had another lap or so, or a handful, to figure what you needed to do, but it didn't transpire that.
It was after looking back at it, I was upset, but it was still a lot of fun. And that's why I like running these carts, because, there's, you still have to do the work. It's not as much work as doing the big car stuff, but to be honest,
it's about a day to get one of them ready.
Yeah, and the thing is though, like you learn little things. Like this year, I ran more races than I thought I was going to, but I learned a few things throughout the year that helped me out a little bit. And I just wanted to run a couple just to get ready, with the tires and kind of learn things. But I know there's probably more I can do. But what I like about it is the fact that it is a momentum thing. It is being smooth. There's people that come up here and they don't even scale their carts. They have no idea what. It's like you're you're shooting yourself in the foot already. And like,
Right.
there's so many people around that would help. If anybody asked, I would help them. I
It's
don't
kind of
really
like
care.
with me, and I have a general idea because I come from more of the big cars, and it's like how much of the big car stuff really does translate over, and everybody's got their own opinion on it, and it's like, well, if I'm really going to ask that question, it's really somebody that drives a big car, and is there anything that, besides obviously your brain to foot connection, how much is really transferable from a big car to these?
Setup wise, I think
The scale numbers got to be
scale
low.
numbers. I mean, the numbers might not be close. I mean, the typical ideas, I think work. Air pressures possibly, but these tires threw that game way out. You know, but what's crazy is I somewhat threw numbers 2 years ago with the slicks. I scaled it myself and just threw kind of an average number out there. Went out there and changed stuff to how I felt. So when I won that race, or the race before and the 212, honestly didn't even know where my scale numbers were at after I changed it, because I kind of did it by, you know, the feel of my pants kind of
You
deal.
were overthinking it.
And well, same thing with the 600. Honestly, it was probably the first time I ever actually scaled the XL was when Doug Borger asked me what my numbers were. We were comparing numbers for what his guy was running and what I was running. That's the only time. So I put a base setup that, you know, for ride heights and all that kind of stuff, and then I felt it how I liked it personally, and I never had to scale that car, and I never did until he did it. People don't believe me, but it's like, hey, that's the way I do it, you know.
Sometimes you get lucky, and of course, like you said, you've been racing since you were 5, so you kind of have a general knowledge. It's like last weekend I was down visiting Alex, and we talked for a while before we did anything, and like he says, he very rarely scales his car because he kind of knows where his weights need to be. He knows what his roundabout what the weights need to be, and he says once you do it, you really don't need to per se. But he says there are times it's like, well, maybe I need to throw it on the scale.
Get the balance back.
And
or
he says
something,
maybe
you know?
you're fighting something, or
Sure.
he goes, in 9 times out of 10 you find out one of the damn steering things might be a little tweaked on it. And that's
Valve
what
or
your
something, yeah.
what your whole thing's been is really hasn't been the weight of the car. It's been more of your steering, because like he says, unless you put an AccuTow on or start measuring, you really don't know.
Yeah.
And he says, and you can kind of feel it off the track, but when you're racing and something don't feel right, okay, it's time to
And
get
it's
it on
tough
the
because
scale.
karts, you go to different tracks and they're all different.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, most big car stuff you can go and you can feel what's going on, and you can know something's wrong. But you go to a place like this, even compared to Dreamfield or compared to somebody else, it's like the clay is completely different. You know, it might have no grip, so if anything's bound up, you might not even feel anything. So,
Right.
you know, it is nice once in a while maybe to go to Alex's or I don't have those tools that he uses to do it because I just don't run enough. But I brought my car up there for the first time and just kind of checked everything out and learned some more stuff and changed some stuff, and it definitely helped. But like if you put very very minimal work into at least scaling and getting close, that's going to be a huge help. Like you do that, and then you can, you know, work on the little things out
Well,
there.
like you said, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, everybody down the pits is willing to help you because they'd rather you being able to race than be a squirrel out there in the track.
I still to this day help people with 600s.
I think about it all the time in my class, because a lot of times I end up in the back, and it's like, you know, I know they're coming, I don't want to be in their way, and so it's like, you know, the more car control I have, then better I know the leaders will feel when they're catching me.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this guy, I know this. If he goes bottom, he's staying there. If he goes high, he's staying. I don't have to worry about him going in on the bottom. I try to go out here. Next thing you know, he cleans my clock because he just can't hold his car down there because it's not set for him.
Absolutely.
So, and for, I would say for all you guys that are beginners, just getting up, you know, don't be afraid to go over and ask these guys, because like Will just said, he's willing to help anybody out. You just got to come and ask. But I'm going to cut this interview short. I should hear generators and stuff firing up. I think you're getting
close.
ready to start doing some events down below. I appreciate it, Will.
Yeah, thank you very much.
For that. Until then, have a good holiday season.
You as well.
And I will see you next year.
Sounds good. Thank you.